You know, there are some uncomfortable things we don't even want to hear, let alone talk about. Not because they're false or too harsh, but because they carry too much inconvenient truth. And in this video, I'm going to share 15 simple but painfully honest truths about life that I once realized and that have made my life a little bit easier. Maybe they'll help you too. Tap like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. So, first truth, people don't change. Sometimes that's hard to accept. We all carry this hope that we're growing, learning, maturing. And maybe we are, somewhere deep down. But on the surface, it's a different story. Yes, time goes on. Yes, we live through things, and some moments hit differently as we grow older. Sometimes we even reach what feels like a turning point. But if we're being honest, not everyone takes their life lessons to heart. Not everyone stops and says to themselves, "Enough, I'm done doing this." We live by a strange logic. If something worked once, we cling to it like a life raft, and we drag it behind us over and over again, like a record stuck on the same note. Take any person who seems like they've figured it all out. Even they will have a whole collection of repeating behavior patterns and reactions, scripts that play out on loop. And if you stay close to them for even a couple of weeks, you'll see it, you'll feel it. It's like they're acting out the same part all over again, because it's familiar, because it's comfortable, even if it's not exactly pleasant. Habits aren't just routines. They become like a second skin. The truth is, we're trapped. Not in physical cages, but in mental ones. In our reactions. In those automatic patterns we've developed in response to the world around us. In the thoughts that show up using the same old words. In how we respond when we're scared, or when we love, or when we lose something or someone. Sometimes we place all our hope on life changing, on something out there finally turning in our favor. But we stay exactly the same. We don't change our path. We don't change our steps. And then we're surprised when we run into the same wall. Again, second truth. Unfortunately, fairness doesn't exist. We grew up being told that good should always win, and evil should be punished. That if we're honest and try our best, things will work out. And then we grow up and realize, no, that's not how it works. The world runs by different rules, not the ones in bedtime stories, not even the ones from books on ethics. It runs on the law of power, where the winner isn't the kindest, but the fastest, the cleverest, the most aggressive, the most efficient, and yes, sometimes the smartest, but not always the most honest. Look at the top of any social pyramid. The people up there, or even just a little above average, they're far from saints. They're not wise elders, not spiritual giants. They're just people who learned how to climb over others while smiling. The world rewards the strong, or at least those who know how to look strong, whether we like it or not. That's the reality. And no matter how much we want to believe in our version of justice, this world plays by a different version. It's all about selection, natural selection, about survival, about how, if you don't know how to stand your ground, if you're soft too often, people will walk right past you. And that doesn't mean kindness is bad. No, it just means it's not a tool. It's not leverage. People usually don't notice it. More often, they mistake it for weakness, unless you consciously turn it into a strength. Next truth, life is a final draft, not a rough one. This might be the most important truth I realized. Too late. We don't get a second take. There's no, let me try again from the top. A moment happens, and that's it. It's gone. It's part of the past now. Sometimes it leaves pain, sometimes joy, but it won't come back. Even if you feel feel like you're stuck in a Groundhog Day loop and think you're getting another shot. It's not the same shot. It's a different day, a different you, usually with different circumstances. We keep waiting for real life to start. After graduation, after the move, after the course, after the retreat, after the baby, after the divorce, after vacation, after I lose weight, after the kids grow up, and so on. Meanwhile, life is rushing past, right now. It doesn't ask if we're ready. It doesn't wait. That's why, for the past few years, I've been trying to take my life a little more seriously, with more awareness. You'll hear people say, life is a game. And yeah, in a way, that's true. But if you don't take responsibility for your choices and actions, you'll stay stuck at zero in that game. You won't get through a single level. So just remember, there's no rough draft. We're all writing the final version of our life story, right now. Fourth truth, people only think about themselves. Sometimes it feels like people care. Like maybe someone out there sees how hard things are for you. Like maybe they'll notice the tiredness in your eyes, or how quiet you've become lately. But the truth is, everyone has their own inner monologue. And in that monologue, you're not a frequent guest. People think about themselves, and that's not bad. It's not selfish. It's just human nature. They're next to you, and yet in their own world, wondering if they feel good around you, wondering if the conversation gives them what they need, wondering if they like you, not in the sense of who you are or how you're doing, but in the sense of how you affect their mood or energy. That's it. So when you find yourself waiting for someone to notice how hurt or exhausted you are, slow down. And don't be crushed when no one comes to help. Because your life isn't a group project. It's not a TV show where all the characters support your storyline. It's a long road, one that you walk on your own. Sometimes with someone beside you, sometimes barefoot on cold, rough tiles. But once you accept the fact that your steps are your own responsibility, you'll start moving with more confidence, with fewer illusions, lower expectations, and instead, with a quiet, solid, steady kind of inner strength. Fifth truth, possibly the most uncomfortable one. There are no guarantees in life, none at all. You can be a good daughter, a loyal wife, a reliable coworker, a loving mom. You can follow all the rules, and then, boom, everything falls apart. Just because the world isn't a book with clear chapters and logic. It's an ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy, but always alive. You can save up money, make plans, and then something totally unexpected happens, and everything changes. The ground drops out from under you, because the life structure you trusted, it's not permanent. It can collapse. It can flip upside down. And eventually, it will, if it's time. To keep yourself from going crazy with this realization, you have to learn to notice how everything flows, how everything changes constantly. Old rules vanish, new ones appear, and you either move with the current, or you stand there staring at a map that's already out of date. The world won't shift instantly to match your wishes, but you can learn to swim with joy through the chaos of life. Sixth truth, you can't please everyone, and please, don't even try. That can backfire in the worst ways. When we're little, we try so hard to make everyone around us happy, to not upset anyone, to be accepted, to not be too much, to avoid getting scolded. But then, there comes a moment when you finally realize you can't be the sun for everyone, so don't try to fit into every group, every relationship format. Don't measure your worth by other people's expectations or opinions. Instead, start quietly choosing the ones who truly resonate with you, the people who are on the same frequency, who hear you, get you, and accept you exactly as you are, who don't make you change your shape to squeeze into their version of reality, into their idea of what should be. Next, seventh truth. You might be surprised, but a lot of people don't actually know what they want. Not because they're stupid or lazy, but because from early childhood, we were trained to search for the right answer, not our answer. Remember, in school, guess what the author meant? At home, parents told us, do what you're supposed to. And it's like we're always playing some level in a game where we have to collect all the right check marks to move forward. Only nobody ever explained, what's at the next level? Why does it matter? Does it even exist? So we keep living by someone else's script. We rent other people's dreams. Someone dreams of marriage, and you head down that path without stopping to ask yourself, do I even want this? Someone's building a business, and you try it on like it's the only path to freedom. But deep down, there's nothing, just emptiness, because it's not yours, because you put on someone else's dress, and it doesn't fit. There are scripts for tragic love, for successful entrepreneurship, for burnout from overworking. There's a script for any type of life you can imagine, and we just grab one off the shelf, throw it over our lives, and think we're living something unique. But really, we're not. But when we finally realize that, a restless search begins. Where do I place myself? Where do I put my energy? How do I even figure out who I am if all I've done so far is live by someone else's story? What do I actually want from life? But you know what? That's okay. You could even call it real growing up. No filters, no glitter. It all starts from the moment you dare to ask, what do I want? That's where your real path begins. It may not be smooth. It may not be a straight line, but it's yours, truly yours, and that alone is a big win. Eighth truth, sacrifice isn't valued. Sometimes we put up with something for so long, we start to feel proud of it. We endure things for our kids, for the family, for our husbands, for our moms. Like the more we suffer, the more noble it must be. On the outside, it might look heroic, but inside, it's just exhaustion and emptiness, so loud you can't even hear yourself anymore. But here's the truth. Sacrifice almost never gets appreciated. Most of the time, people don't even notice it. Or worse, they take advantage of it. Because to a manipulator, sacrifice is like a shiny gift under the tree. Someone who constantly sacrifices themselves is easy to control through guilt. This isn't about cruelty. It's about choice. When you give away everything and leave nothing for yourself, you disappear. And even if someone says thank you, it won't bring your energy back. It won't refill the emptiness inside. Sacrifice isn't a path to love. It's a path to losing yourself. And from this truth flows the next one. Ninth truth. Most people like to suffer. Some even start romanticizing their pain, wearing it like a badge of honor, almost like a heroic tale. Like, I'm so strong, I endure. I'm so loyal, I don't walk away. I'm so kind, I forgive over and over again. But inside, there's nothing left. Nothing alive, nothing warm, just burned out ground. But there is a way out, and it starts with one small question. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting up with what I don't even like? If you answer that honestly, you'll start to see. And once you see, you won't be able to keep pretending you're the same. Now let's touch on a topic a lot of people are scared of. 10th truth. There is no growth without pain, because every kind of personal growth, every bit of real development, it always hurts. And that might be the most honest thing anyone can say about transformation. We all want to change, but we want it to be easy, if possible, fast. and ideally, without too many losses. But the truth is, it doesn't work like that. Every real step forward feels like climbing out of a warm bath and stepping straight into the freezing cold. It's uncomfortable, awkward. All you want is to run back to what's familiar. If you've ever tried learning something new, anything, whether it's playing piano, drawing, or starting something from scratch, you know the feeling. That shaking frustration when things just aren't clicking. Not because you're bad at it, but because your brain resists. It doesn't want new paths. It craves the familiar, the automatic. Even if it's destroying you, at least it knows the way. Growth means going against all that, against biology, against laziness, against your own doubt. And it sucks, sometimes a lot. But once you push through, you'll never go back to who you were. Because now, there's a muscle inside you that wasn't there before. 11th truth, life doesn't have any inherent meaning. The meaning of life is just to live. Ideally, with a sense of happiness and harmony. Nobody's going to hand you the meaning of life on a silver platter. You won't find it in someone else's words, or quotes, or books. It's not in self-discovery courses. It's not in trainings. It's not hiding in some Find Your Purpose webinar. Meaning starts to appear when you stop living how you're supposed to live and start living how you feel. When you let yourself breathe deep, even if it's scary, even if there's no one around to say you're doing the right thing, even if everything around you screams, stop. And yeah, it's terrifying because there are no prepackaged meanings. Nobody's going to confirm if your choice was right or not. But that's the whole point. That's where your freedom lives. Because you can finally stop chasing after someone else's approval, stop waiting for anything, and you can just start living your life the way you want to, the way you feel, in your rhythm. Next truth, number 12. We humans are not equal. Some people are born into loving families. Others are born into chaos and hopelessness. Some get the support they need from day one. Others learn to survive on their own before they even learn to spell. Some people's brains are wired in ways that give them a head start. Others start off carrying extra weight, mentally, emotionally, even physically. But inequality isn't a life sentence. It's just reality, as it is. We're not the same. And because of that, some people will understand you right away, and some never will. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. They're on a completely different frequency, and they just aren't able to receive and translate yours. Literally, their brain doesn't work like yours does, and that's okay. The pain comes when we keep trying to reach someone who can't actually hear us, when we expect from someone what they're simply not capable of giving, when we hope they'll finally change. But remember what I said. People don't really change. They just keep playing out their same old scripts. 13th truth. We're not ruled by thoughts, logic, or facts. We're ruled by feelings. We all like to call ourselves rational, but most of the time, we're just reacting. A little emotional nudge inside, and suddenly we're on edge. We say something, we do something, then we regret it. You really see it when you try to explain something to someone. Like, look, these are the facts. And the person says, yeah, but, and you've laid it all out. You've been calm. You've brought your logic. You've tried to stay kind, but nope. If someone's emotions are stronger than their acceptance of facts, you'll never convince them. So here's the question. Can you even trust your own feelings? Can you rely on them? Or should you question everything? And if you doubt everything, how are you supposed to live? It can feel like a trap. Either you're all rational and cold as ice, or you're all emotion, spinning with no direction. But it doesn't have to be that black and secret, if there is one, is in the mix. When you don't blindly believe every feeling, but you don't silence them either. When you know how to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this really mine? Or is it just fear, or pain, or an old wound that's still bleeding? That little pause, that moment of self-control, it's everything. Because if you can't pause, if you can't breathe in the middle of your own storm, then that storm starts living for you, and you stop living at all. And now, probably one of the least popular truths, number 14, there is no such thing as a free ride. Seriously, no matter how beautifully someone sings about ease, about manifestation, about just allow yourself, behind all that there's always work. Sometimes it's hidden, but most of the time, it's daily, repetitive, boring even, but it's there, and it's not easy. Sure, sometimes someone gets lucky, totally random, but you know, if someone hasn't grown into that luck, it'll just pass them by. They'll be left with a weird sense of loss they can't even explain. But if you grow slowly, if you show up every day and put in the work, whether it's a project or personal growth, quietly, without showing off in your stories, if you keep going, keep trying, don't stop, the results will come, and they'll stick around, and eventually, that becomes your new reality. That's why real change, if it's real, is always permanent. And finally, number 15, consistency. It seems boring, like there's no magic in it. But this is the real magic, because consistency always pays off. If you're doing what matters every single day, even when it feels like no one's watching, if you keep going, even when there's no visible response, if you move forward, even slowly, everything starts to shift. The world adjusts to you, not instantly, but it always starts to breathe in your rhythm. That's it. So, here's how I'd sum it up. 15 truths. You could say, my personal life rules. If you ever choose to stop lying to yourself, you'll face these head on. You'll either accept them or keep pretending. At least, that's how it works for me. First, people don't change. Old patterns are stronger than new desires. Until you see yourself repeating the same cycles, nothing changes. That's why I always observe myself and others, not their words, but their actions, because only actions matter. Second, there is no justice. There's no such thing as good and evil. Don't waste your energy on outrage or trying to fix the world. Use your energy to grow. I live by the laws of nature, not by illusions. That makes me stronger, freer. Third, life is the real thing. No rough drafts. Every later might never come. I don't put off conversations, projects, or decisions. If I feel they really matter, I try to act, even when it's scary, because there might never be a second take. Fourth, people think only about themselves. That's not good or bad. It's just a fact. And facts aren't worth arguing with. I don't expect to be understood. I'm learning to understand myself. And when I do, others follow. Fifth, there are no guarantees. None. Not in love. Not in money. Not in plans. I don't lean on should be. I'm training my resilience. Because the only thing I can count on is my own ability to adapt. Sixth, you can't please everyone. If everybody likes you, it probably means you're not really being yourself. I've stopped apologizing for who I am, because real connections only come from the real you. Seventh, most people don't actually know what they want. I try not to rent other people's dreams. I often sit in silence, open a notebook, listen to myself, and figure out, what do I want? Not someone else, not someday. Me, right now. And I fall down. 8th, sacrifice isn't appreciated. You give, and then get mad that no one says thank you. But they don't thank you because, honestly, they never asked for your help. So now I don't sacrifice. I either give with joy and expect nothing in return, or I don't give at all. 9th, most people like to suffer. Yeah, it sounds harsh, but it's true. We cling to pain because we're afraid of emptiness. I've learned to ask myself, what if I just let go? And often, that's the start of a beautiful new chapter. 10th, there's no growth without pain. You can't grow without breaking something old inside, like stiff, stuck neural pathways. I remind myself of this every time I hit a wall. That means it's working. That means I'm on the path. 11th, life has no meaning, except the one you choose to give it. I don't look for big meanings. I create small ones, every day. And that's enough to make me feel happy and full inside. 12th, people are not equal. Some get a head start. Some start way behind. That's not a reason to be mad at the world. It's a reminder. Everyone's playing with a different set of cards. So, I don't compare. I don't get bitter about what I don't have. I just keep moving, in my own way, at my own pace. 13th, people are driven by emotions, not by logic, not by intellect, emotions. And if you don't know how to pause when your feelings take over, nothing else matters. I'm learning to slow down in those emotional moments, learning to observe, not react. I think that's what real maturity looks like. 14th, sadly, there is no free ride. If you get lucky, like winning the lottery, it's temporary. But if you grow into your success, it's forever. So I'm not looking for shortcuts. I'm looking for real, solid, working paths, even if they're slow and boring. 15th, consistency pays off. Those repetitive, dull little actions you do every day, even when no one's watching. I'm betting on those, because only those create long-term solid results. That's it. 15 simple truths I try to live by every day. Truths I remind myself of again and again so I don't forget them. Please leave a comment. Tell me which of these really resonated with you, which ones you agree with, and which ones maybe don't sit right with you. I'd love to read your thoughts, and who knows, maybe you'll share something I'll end up adding to this list. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Big hug, and take care of yourself. And if you haven't watched the video about why we get stuck on our phones, put off important things, and feel guilty about it all, I really recommend watching it now. It's not about hustle culture, not about productivity, and definitely not another boring internet advice video. It's about the pain we try to numb by endlessly scrolling, about how we slowly lose touch with ourselves without even noticing, and most importantly, how to gently find our way back. Click the thumbnail and watch it. Maybe it'll be the first tiny step towards something really meaningful in your life. See you in the next video.